back on the West Coast. It is the 14th of March in the year of our Lord 2024. And right before I started talking, one of my cats decided he was going to jump on a wobbly stool. So that was weird. Season 14, episode 21, 656 times you have been welcomed to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, professional wrestling. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast, and this ought to be interesting because there is a lot of hail being reported in my area, so we're going to see how all this shakes out. We're going to be here as long as we possibly can because we do it for the kids. Let me bring in the boys. Chabooyah, there they are. That way from me is my co-host and a man who's already dressed up for St. Patrick's Day. He is Alex.
You know, it's just a coincidence. I happen to have a number of green shirts. I don't know, maybe it's a heritage thing. But I can tell you right now, I've already been wondering if the storm hits like maybe halfway through and I'm the one that drops out since I tend to be the technical problem.
We'll see what happens. At the bottom of your screen is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions. You may know him as Igboo, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
Hey, guys, what's up?
Wow, that's still really loud. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We've got a lot to get to. Again, apologies last week. I had a last-minute cancellation that is on me. We got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time to talk about it in. But before we get started, first and foremost, we want to say shout out to anybody coming out this weekend. This weekend is the Texas Pinball Festival up here in Frisco, Texas. If you are in the area and you are a fan of video games and pinball, this is the place you want to be. I will be up there walking around, wandering aimlessly on Saturday. So if you see us, come up and say hello. It's an awesome event. The entire Frisco Convention Center is hollowed out. It's full of pinball machines and video games. From the dawn of man to the brand new stuff. I'm getting ready to play the new Elton John table. I'm very excited about that and some more new stuff as well. So come out and say hello. Also, a week from Saturday, we'll talk about this again next week, I will be hanging out with friend of the show, Brent Peoples, as we have a quick pop-up for his brand of clothing called Found One Apparel. You can find that at foundoneapparel.com. He does great shirts and hats and all kinds of stuff. All of it is faith-based, so make sure you go check that out. And the details for that we'll put up on our social media as well. Before we get into this, we were supposed to talk about this last week, and of course we didn't have a show. But I want to take some time and defer to Don because he has a very, very interesting tale to tell us about why he was off the show for 2 weeks. So, Don, I'm going to give you the solo layout, and I'm going to go check on Jackson and take it away.
So we had an opportunity to go to, of all places, Belgrade. And for my Montana folk back home, we're not talking the Belgrade, Montana. We are talking the Belgrade, Serbia, the original Belgrade from over 1,000 years ago. We had an opportunity to go. I tagged along. And so I went to that it's part by Romania, Bulgaria, stuff like that. It used to be part of Yugoslavia, used to be in the communist area during the Cold War, that kind of thing. Very interesting place to see. It was great to see the architecture, some real historic sites. One of my favorite things was seeing the Nikolai Tesla Museum. That guy. Since he spent time before he came to America in Belgrade, the international airport's named after him. So he has a museum there which has his urn and some of his original patents, stuff like that. So that was great to see there. I also went to the temple of the Saints Saba, which is a Serbian saint, and it's one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest Orthodox church in that part of Europe, and one of the biggest in the world. It is like 200, almost 255 feet tall from the inside. The dome on the inside is almost 100 feet across, but it was one of the most beautiful things I've seen. There was literally over 12,000 square meters of gold on the wall. If you look at my Facebook page, you saw that. what they did is they took the glass and they put gold leafing in there, and then put the glass over, so that's why it looks like gold through everywhere.
Oh wow!
But it was one of the most beautiful teaches that ever. One of the most beautiful things I've ever saw. So forth.
Can you guys hear me?
It was
okay,
work, and
okay.
I'd take along. So
I just want to make sure Jax is fine. So
okay. But there's a couple things. I'm glad I went. It was an incredible experience. If I go back in time, I'd do it again. But I will never go back there again. It would not be a great place to. It was great to see, but seeing it once is all you need. They love their dogs. Everywhere they bring the dogs in, parks, restaurants, everything. And to the tobacco companies, don't feel bad about all those settlements in the U.S. because the amount of people that smoke in Serbia is incredible. Restaurants everywhere, you do not see a no smoking section anywhere near the restaurants. They smoke away. I'm at the corner once. I saw cops stop, pull up while they're driving, and smoking while they're driving in the cop car. I mean, people will smoke at the tables. It's just their local thing. They're like chimneys out there in the smoking.
I feel like Alex and I would be doing a lot of al fresco dining out there.
Yeah, but yeah, it was. That's one thing that really surprised me was the amount of cigarette smoking and stuff like that the people smoke with out there. The crosswalks, they will have the roundabouts, and then they have crosswalks for the people just outside the roundabouts, but with no signals. So you start waiting, the traffic will stop for people. It's kind of an amazing thing. You think you have to wait for the traffic? No, the traffic waits for you. One thing they're known for is the graffiti. There's graffiti everywhere. Not like huge, but you see little graffiti on just about every building out there except the historic ones or the embassies. It's just like, add it, do it. The stoplights are on this side of the intersection, so you have to look up like that to see if they're not on the far side. A lot of people there, they're kind of that, meh, that's their attitude. Like when I went to the UK, they're like, hey, you're from America, great, blah, blah, blah. Most people are like, we went to the store to check out, and it's like, I'm here. It's like you go to a restaurant and you get that person who's came in on their off day, they've been there 12 hours and they hate their job and they're about ready to quit. That would be the employee of the month out there because they're just really, whatever. They bright clothes, saw none. Wearing a Miami Dolphins uniform you want a business venture to lose money? Open stores without colors like orange, purple. They all wear that dark. Whites are an off-white, if that. Blues are not the bright blue. They really wear dark clothing. Driving, they're kind of nuts on that. But that kind of just mannerism, kind of whatever. Except if the people say America, what part Dallas, and they go Luca from the maps.
Well, yeah, I mean it makes sense.
Yeah, but they love the basketball out there. One thing I did put on there is how people live out there. I saw some houses, just a couple by the airport, but those huge complexes like you saw in New Jack City, that's the quality they look like in that one building in New Jack.
A lot of apartment buildings.
Those apartment buildings, and they're all over the place. And that's how most people live. Inside, they might be nice, but from the outside, they are not. I had to be really careful. There was one time I was a little bit because I was taking pictures and I took a far picture of the school, and the lady goes, "No pictures of the kids," and like start screaming at me. I was taking pictures of like the whole neighborhood. Got out of there. It's one of the weird things though is the demographics. If anything stuck out like a sore thumb that's been hit with a hammer 6 times, that's infected for about a week, it was faith. I went to all the touristy areas, main areas, all that. I only saw 2 other African Americans the whole time. Saw one Asian, saw no one of like Indian descent. There are some Middle Easterns.
So not a lot of diversity.
Not a lot of diversity. That was the weird part too.
Keep that moving.
Yeah, cost of living is a lot cheaper than there. The currency of the dinar, you make more if you convert the U.S. to there, and you get more for your bang for the buck out in their dinar is like 100 is $100 for $1. 100 of theirs is $1 to the U.S. basically.
Well, the math is pretty easy to figure out.
Yeah. Most of them just speak their Serbian language, but some people have some English. You can get by a little bit as a tourist there, but you have to go speak English, speak easy. They love their Serbian music, but they love the 80s, but no hip hop. That was the weird part. No Taylor Swift, no Beyonce, but they love the stuff of the 80s on American music.
I know
even in the cars and everything.
It was about every other song on the radio. Did you notice any pattern like that? Like it would be a Spanish
It was
song.
like, remember the Mix 1029 station? That would be most
kind of like that. All right, fair enough.
There were stations of the Serbian, but a lot of them love the American, even though they can't understand what they're saying.
That came from music.
Yeah. The restrooms, sometimes they're one restroom. Like the one time I went to a restaurant and I'm using the men's side, and all of a sudden I see this woman walk right by me. I'm using the stand-up toilet, and I look right behind me, the woman's toilet. You have to walk by the men's urinal to go to the women's side. So it's kind of like
a little weird, but okay. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. All of a sudden, what? And I look behind me, it says women on the other. You have to walk by the men's urinal to get to the women's side. It's kind of okay.
All right.
They do tip a little bit at restaurants, but only a little bit, 10%. But they love the basketball. One thing in the men's bathroom, they had a toilet with the spring, so it kept up most of the time. You had to push it down if you wanted to use the seat.
Okay, so the seat it's spring loaded to stay up.
Yeah, exactly. On the men's side. Yeah.
Keeps you on the seat.
But it was the people. I understand why Rusev has because Bulgaria is right next to Serbia. I understand why Rusev has that kind of bad attitude sometimes. There were some nice people I met there.
Easy on that. This has been asked and answered. You don't have to classify an entire group of people, man.
Yeah, but it was that's the one down thing, and how I feel so when I look back in how we live here versus how they live there. People complain all the time. We have a lot better than the rest of the world, but
okay.
Incredible experience. Seeing the museum, some of the landmarks and stuff like that. But the Tesla Museum was the coolest, and that Saint Saba church was incredible. But incredible experience. I'm glad I went. When I go back, only if we had to for her stuff, and she wanted me to go. That's why.
Right.
But no, thanks for the time on that. But it's still an incredible experience just to see that part of the world, to see what used to be Yugoslavia, what used to be a communist country, and that's the new Belgrade where those apartments were, because they built them during the communist times, because it was Yugoslavia at the time. Mm-hmm. So, still some real nice people there, but it's just they're kind of whatever. And they love eating out, but they love the cigarettes. That was the weirdest thing. So,
all right, good job, Don.
Yeah, thank you.
Let us get into the meat and potatoes. We are 3 days away from Selection Sunday, boys. And the tournaments are going crazy. I saw earlier today, we had a Houston looks good.
Houston's been consistent over the last few years.
I mean, there are a lot of people are putting them as a 1 seed right now. A lot of people wondering with the transfer portal and things like that, is the day of the Blue Bloods done? I think I'm not willing to say it yet, because Duke just got 2 huge recruits for next season. So I think if we look back a year from now and see what the landscape looks like, you know how much I enjoy parody, and you know I'm here for chaos. So we're going to see how everything shakes out. Now, by the time we have another show, we'll be halfway through the first round. So we're going to try to figure out some way to get brackets up and running. Worst case scenario, we'll just get it running. Y'all can compete against us.
We will have it posted very soon.
Yep, because we can't do it. That's like I was listening to a commercial, because I sometimes listen to Around the Horn and PI on the podcast, like if I'm driving or whatever. And there's this commercial. This guy's like, I'm filling out my brackets right now. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You're not doing that till next Monday.
Get
your air times right. That's all I'm saying. Also, and I wish, this is one of the reasons I wish, Alex, you actually have something to say?
Well, before we got too far away from the whole transfer portal, I know it's basketball to football, but there was a very interesting interview that Nick Saban did very recently. Did you happen to see his reply of the biggest factor to him retiring?
I did see I saw a clip from it. I didn't see the whole thing.
Okay. So his big answer was, you go to try to recruit kids. They just asked how much they were getting paid, and he refused to sign anybody that was more interested in money than ball.
Yeah, it's a new day, you know?
Yeah.
It's the new normal for college football.
So let me ask who, to you two real fast, the one team answer. If you had to bet right now, who would win it all? If you
I think we should put a pin in that until next week.
Yeah, because I don't know enough to be able to say right now.
Okay.
So, one of the reasons I wish we'd have done a show last week is this would have been fresh news, but we still have to talk about it. July 20th, AT&T Stadium. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
But
by
is
the
it really?
time this fight, well, we haven't heard the particulars yet, but by the time this fight happens, Mike Tyson will be 58 years old. Jake Paul, 30 years his junior.
Right, but my point on this one is the fact that, and the only reason I just can't care, even with it being here, this is not real boxing. At least up until now, it has not been real boxing. As much as they portray it as real boxing, I give you example A through that's all I need of the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight where there were no judges. So it was either a draw or a knockout. And more than once, Floyd Mayweather connected with a legit shot and had to hold a Paul brother up so they got through the round. It is wrestling in boxing form, and I would just feel better if they were honest about it.
Well, my thing is the sweet science hasn't been a sweet science in over 2 decades. I used to be a huge boxing fan. I did not miss an HBO event. And when I was working at the bar, we would get the Showtime pay-per-views. So if there was boxing, I was watching. I was watching Friday night fights on ESPN2 when I was at the bar DJing, whether we had a big screen or not. And it's just the sweet science is not the sweet science. Will they pack AT&T Stadium? I'm not. You ain't betting with house money, in my opinion, on that. But I thought that when I heard the venue, I was like, they're not doing this in Vegas and lives there. Now, Tyson, if I look 20% of what Mike Tyson is when I'm 58, I am happy. But
dude can still move.
Yeah, but I'm out. Like, this is not a pay-per-view I will purchase. I will not go out of my way to watch it. I'll see what happened the next day.
I want to say there's a reason that they don't do it in Vegas, because they would have to submit to actual testing and legitimate boxing aspects for licensure, and that's why they can't.
So maybe if they have some good undercards with it too, they might put them some halfway decent matches.
Don, there's just nobody out there I care about. Yeah. There's nobody I want to go to there. Boxing's just not boxing anymore. And
it's become the freak show. The only time that people are interested is where you see Jose Canseco get his butt kicked. I mean, it's not. And unfortunately, the problem is that you have guys, and I'm going to say it, I'm not knocking Floyd Mayweather, but greatest of all time, absolutely not. But the entire thing was, how many times can I touch you and then hold if you get too close? That's all it is now.
Or I'm not touching.
That's why I want to retract that statement, unless it's Tyson Fury.
And that's one person.
Do you think that MMA, UFC has really put boxing to more of a back burner because there's people like MMA more than boxing?
Yes, but my time caring about the UFC has come and gone. There was a time where I was all about watching UFC, and then when they were doing 3 pay-per-views a month, plus other stuff, plus The Ultimate Fighter, I just gave up. I was like, I can't keep up with all of this. Even working at a sports bar that showed every single UFC event, it was too much.
Okay, we have to have a corrective statement, or at least a realism statement. at most, there's a pay-per-view every 2 to 3 months now.
This is back when it was booming in the mid to late.
Oh, no.
aughts.
They're still doing
were doing
events. They're just not pay-per-views anymore.
There were times where there were 2 or 3 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was no network, there was no streaming. So Dana was just like money.
That's fair. But
I'm not saying
other interesting thing you have with MMA and its setup is boxing had so many people where you lost one fight, your career was over, which is why certain champions made sure to handpick opponents that weren't exactly at their best. Or they wanted to not make sure to take only big money fights because they never knew when the last one they were going to be able to cash a check with was. Whereas the MMA structure has been like, you know what? Sometimes guys get tapped out and they don't realize it. They'll run it back. I mean, you don't get undefeated fighters who aren't named Khabib anymore because they actually have to fight or they lose their spot.
Well, and I think over the years, UFC has done a lot to make sure, like, if this happens, you cannot fight for X amount of time, so that you're not getting back in there before you're supposed to. And I do respect that. I respect the safety measures that UFC tries to take to make sure that they have the best card at all times. I won't take that away. I got burnt out and I never got back in.
You know, I feel like you should jump in on a good one coming soon. There's been some really great up and coming fighters that are a lot of fun to watch.
Although I was intrigued by Fight Island because it reminded me of the first Mortal Kombat. NBA standings in the Atlantic Division of the Eastern Conference, the Toronto Raptors. If they doubled their win total, they'd still be 5 games out. They're 28.5 back in the division. They're 3 back on Brooklyn. They are 10.5 back on the 76ers. Philly now 2 back on the Knicks. The Knicks are now 13 back on Boston. Boston, like, they're on a 3-game win streak. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're 33-7 in a conference right now. In the Central Division, the Detroit Pistons, former champs of basketball, they're still bad. They're 29.5 back. They are 19.5 back on Chicago. Chicago now 4.5 back on the Pacers. The Pacers are now 5.5 back. Cleveland and Milwaukee are tied. In the Southeast Division, the Washington Wizards, they're still terrible. They're 26.5 back. They're 5.5 back on Charlotte. Charlotte is about 16.5 back on the Hawks. The Hawks now 6 back on Miami. Given all that, guess who's leading the Southeast Division right now? Who's the only team I haven't mentioned in the Eastern Conference?
Honestly, it's the NBA I tuned out.
Miami is 2.5 back on a team about 3 hours northwest. The Orlando Magic currently lead that division. And they're 10 games above 500. In the Western Conference, Pacific Division, the Golden State Warriors, they're still in last place, but they're playing some decent ball right now. They're 500 in their last 10. They are 7.5 back. They're a game back on the Lakers. The Lakers now 3 back on Phoenix. Phoenix and Sacramento are tied, but they're both 3.5 back on the Clippers, who want to remind you they want to take you on a sea cruise. In the Southwest Division, that was for Alex, the San Antonio Spurs. Alex and I, we have to clarify. We had a discussion about the new Clippers logo. And when somebody said it on the Round the Horn, I couldn't get it out of my head that it just looks like an ad for a cruise ship. It just does. Which I get it. It's a Clipper. A Clipper is the thing. But won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? The San Antonio Spurs are 25.5 back. They are 8.5 back on Memphis. Memphis now 12 back on Houston. The Rockets are now 7.5 back on Dallas. Dallas is now only a game and a half back on Fly Pelican because they've won 4 in a row. In the Northwest Division, the Trailblazers are still bad. They're 26.5 back. They are 11 back on Utah. Utah now 16.5 back on Minnesota. The Timberwolves now a half game back on Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is a half game back on Denver. So that Northwest division is still up for grabs. We've got 64. We've got less than 10 games left in the season, boys. No, less than 20 games left in the season because they play 83, right?
80. I thought
82. 82, yeah. So we got less than 20 games
for the real record.
That's right. So we got less than 20 games left. If the playoffs started today, here's how it would shake out. Your top seeds would be Boston, Cleveland, Milwaukee, New York, Orlando, and Philly. Your play-ins would be Indiana, Miami, Chicago, and Atlanta. Nobody else is even close.
No.
In the Western Conference, your shoe-ins are Denver, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, the Clippers, the Pelicans, and Sacramento. Your play-ins would be Phoenix, Dallas, the Lakers, and Golden State. So Golden State, although they're the last in their division, that division is still very competitive, and they would get into the play-in.
And that's all you need at some level.
You are not wrong. Let's get into the National Hockey League, Eastern Conference, Atlantic Division. The Ottawa Senators. They're not doing well. They are 28 points out of first place. They've played 63 games, so they have 19 left. Some of them have played more. So you only got about 3 weeks left on both of those seasons. They are 4 points behind the Montreal Canadiens. We couldn't hear you there, Don. We saw you, but we couldn't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I got you
now.
Now
we can.
Okay.
I will let you know Alex did pick up the slack for you while you were gone on that.
Okay.
The Canadiens.
Oh, I did.
We saw you. We just couldn't hear
you. He did it very French. He was doing it as a mime.
The long cigarette. Montreal.
We didn't hear him through the invisible wall.
7 back on the Sabres. The Sabres are 5 back on Detroit. Detroit now 2 back on the Lightning. Lightning middle of the pack right now. They are, 8 back on Toronto. Toronto now 9 back on Boston. Florida has got a 3-point lead in the division. They're on a 2-game win streak. Detroit's dropped 6 in a row. What's my other division, Don?
Metropolitan.
You are correct. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they're terrible. They are 36 points back. They are 11 points back of your beloved Pittsburgh Penguins. Don, you're only 1 point behind the Devils for third to last. The Devils are 3 back on Washington. The Caps are 3 back on the Islanders. The Islanders 4 back on Philly. Philly is now 8 back on Carolina. Carolina 6 back on the Rangers. Alex.
So is there any truth to the rumor, Don, that you traveled to Serbia so you could intercept the Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads that were supposed to make it to Pittsburgh?
I don't. Don, do you know the story about this?
No, I didn't hear anything about Jaromir.
Allegedly,
I forgot he's from the.
He's from the Czech Republic. Yeah,
Czech Republic. Yeah.
Tonight is Jaromir Jagr. I can't even say his name. Jaromir Jagr bobblehead night at the
Igloo.
The place that's not the Igloo anymore.
That's all.
And apparently shipment disappeared. Now, we have more information. There could be possible shenanigans here because the Penguins allegedly on their social media have released a video where Jagr himself is on the case.
Odd. Did you see the bobbleheads, though?
I did not. They didn't show them on PTI, and Around the Horn didn't air today, so I had to listen to the podcast.
Okay, so. Don, I'm going to throw this one to you. Do you remember the weird dome helmet that Jagr wore back in the day that looked like a globe?
Yeah.
It was that helmet on the bobbleheads.
Let's see if I can pull it up.
I hope I can find one of these stolen bobbleheads.
Oh, that's not on the right screen. That should be on the right screen. There we go. Let me see if I can. There's already a Google search for Jagr bobbleheads eBay. Let me see.
I totally derailed us with this wonderful story.
Okay, so I have the image, I believe. Yes, I have the image. Let me just open the image in a new tab so you boys can see this. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see this. And this is just for Don.
This is just for Don.
There you go, Don.
Oh dear God, that's ugly.
But he's doing the.
You look at the size of the helmet compared to the rest of the body. That's just.
But that's what a bobblehead does.
I know, but the helmet don't help out too much. You know,
but he's wearing the Captain Charisma thing. He's doing the salute. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I'll say this: I did meet him one time, and he was really nice. So.
Yager is one of the best ever. Nobody can tell me otherwise.
In the Western Conference Central Division that doesn't have an Eastern or Western, the Chicago Blackhawks, they're still pretty bad. They are 48 points out of first right now. If they doubled their point total, they would still be 6 points out. They are also 7 back on the Coyotes. The Coyotes are 5 back on the Wild. The Wild and St. Louis are tied. They're both 9 back on Nashville. Nashville 7 back on Winnipeg. Winnipeg 2 back on Dallas. Dallas and Colorado are tied right now, but Colorado got there by winning 5 in a row.
Wow.
They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. In the Pacific Division, the San Jose Sharks are still terrible. They're only 53 points out of first place.
That's only 26.5 wins.
They're 10 back on the Ducks. So Southern California, not a hotbed of hockey currently. The Ducks are now 18 back on Calgary.
Oof.
The Flames are a point back on Seattle. Seattle 11 back on Vegas. Vegas and Kings are tied. They're both 6 back on Edmonton. Edmonton now 9 back on Vancouver. If the playoffs started today, here's what they would look like. In the Eastern Conference, Florida, Boston, Rangers, Carolina, Toronto, Philly, Tampa Bay, and the Islanders. That's your order. In the Western Conference.
I'm sorry, hold on. The NHL has a weird setup. It's not just the top 8.
Right, but I haven't gotten to the wild cards yet. The wild cards.
I just want to confirm.
Yeah. In the Western Conference, Vancouver, Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Nashville, Los Angeles, and Vegas would get in.
Mm-hmm.
Your wild card situation currently. Your wild cards right now in the Eastern Conference would be Tampa Bay and the Islanders. However, people within striking distance that I am comfortable saying that about, Don, you're only 7 points back of the last spot right now with about 20 games to go.
Well, it's still up in the,
So anybody that's within, I would say if you're within, I would say 12 points. So that's Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Buffalo, Washington, Detroit. In the Western Conference, Nashville and Vegas would be your current wild cards. Within anybody that what I would say is within 10 points right now would be Calgary, Seattle, Minnesota, St. Louis.
I noticed there's a couple of teams missing from that.
What do you mean?
Oh, no. I saw something. I thought there was like 6 weeks left in the season. And somebody told me that San Jose and Chicago were already eliminated. And I was like, isn't there 2 months left?
Mathematically, yeah. I mean,
okay, so there's 2 months?
No, you've only got 20 games left.
But that's what I'm saying is I thought there was 2 months left when somebody was mentioning it. And I was very confused.
No, because usually the NBA and the NHL finish around the same time. They start within a couple of weeks each other. They end within a couple of weeks each other.
It's always like in May and stuff like that, usually.
April is when your playoffs will start because they're best.
Right. My brain latched on to the COVID year where the playoffs weren't until June.
Yeah. They were a lot quicker.
That is also true.
All right, boys, it's time to play North America's favorite game show. What is the... where's my stuff here? Here, hold on. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Where's the thing? Oh, it's over here. One moment, please. What is the goal differential? Of course, for the San Jose Sharks. They might go wire to wire at this point.
Are they even playing these games? I mean...
We'll find out in a moment.
There's some of this stuff where I'm just like, are they playing without a goaltender? I just want to know.
What you got,
Because I'll
boys?
play cheap.
Somebody take a shot here.
Negative 120.
Don says negative 120.
You know what? We've been bagging on them pretty hardcore, but I feel like it might be settling in. I'm going to say around a solid century mark. Give me the 100.
The San Jose Sharks have played 64 games. In those games, they are 16-41-7. They have a total of 39 points this year.
I feel like Don's under.
They are 10-19-3 at home. They are 6-22-4 on the road. Are 1-7-2 in their last 10. Don at minus 120. You're over.
How? With those
Alex?
records, how?
Yeah.
Alex at minus 100 is the closest without going over because currently the San Jose Sharks have a goal differential of minus 112.
So, non-Price is Right rules, it would be Don. I want to establish that we understand.
Well, Don numerically was closer, but that's not the rules of the game.
Yeah, I understand.
The more I heard the record, the more I was like, God, they're going to be at like 150.
Yep. Hey, they won one in the last 10, though. Give them that.
As Rob would say, that's just one more than us.
Yeah.
There's still one more.
They went on a 6-game non-winning streak, or they went on a 9-game non-winning streak before that because they're 1-7-2 in their last 10. All right, boys, let's get into the pop culture part of this. We've got 2 weeks worth. I kept what I thought was relevant.
Warner Brothers. Just going to say there's too much going on in the NFL. We'll deal with that at a later date.
Yeah, I because I get my hopes up, and then I realize it's only March, and then I get sad. Let's see here. Warner Brothers with a huge announcement last week, shutting down Rooster Teeth based out of Austin. If you watch anything like, is it Ruby or is it RWBY? Because I know it's all caps, and that's for red, white, blue, yellow, because that's the costumes that the characters wear. But they did that. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Well, there's that. Also, red versus blue was a big thing with them as well.
Somebody on this panel has appeared in an episode.
So a lot of varied opinions about that, but living in Texas and having that be an Austin brand, we've heard a lot about it, especially when it first broke. I will be at Hill Country Comic-Con the weekend after Easter, and some of that voice talent would be there. So I'd love to see you come out and support those guys.
And at worst case scenario, please give Mike and Lindsay a hug for me.
I will. Well, if they allow that.
If they allow.
Yes. AMC, big announcement from them today. As you might remember, there used to be a TNT show based on the movie Snowpiercer. TNT never aired season 4. AMC will be airing season 4. They have picked it up and they will run the episodes.
I have to text somebody. I love that show.
I love the movie. I never watched the show.
The show is really well done.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, there's parts of the show that lean into the source material better.
Oh, okay. Cool. CBS has announced 3 renewals. They have renewed Tracker for season 2. My wife is actually starting to watch that show. They've also renewed Ghosts, another one of her favorites, for season 4, and Fire Country for season 3. That show still continues to gain momentum. It was the number 1 mid-season replacement last year. So
when we started watching the Tracker, it was pretty decent.
Fox announcing this past week they are rebooting Baywatch.
Oh, cool.
Here's what I remember about Baywatch, because I never watched it. I always can hear Chandler Bing in my head. Run, Yasmin. Run like the wind. That's what I got. Max and HBO announcing this week that Real Time with Bill Maher is renewed through 2026. That will be for seasons 23 and 24, making it the second longest running show behind Real Sports with Ryan Gumbel. So
for HBO.
Yep. We've got
Man,
more.
I hate the canceled real sports. It's like I'm hoping they'll bring it back. I know, but
Brian Gumbel's been doing that show a long time. The brother wants to retire. Let him retire.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that was as much of a cancellation as much as him saying, I'm done.
More casting news for season 4 of Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. We had one last week and one this week. Joining that cast, one Kumail Nanjiani and Zach Galifianakis joining that show.
Great. I'm going to have more people recognize me in the islands as somebody I'm not.
And can I also say, speaking of somebody on that show, I witnessed a trailer this past week that I don't know why is not getting more love, because it happens, I believe, week after next. Apple TV is doing a 2-part documentary about Steve Martin.
I did see that, yes.
Why is that not getting more love on the interwebs? Because I will be watching it.
I wonder if it's unauthorized on some level.
No, I mean, he's in it.
I haven't seen much. I've only seen archival footage for that ad.
And it's called Steve! Exclamation point.
Yeah.
So, NBC Peacock announcing that Troy Winbush also now joining the cast of Suits LA. Also talk of some of the original cast making appearances as well. A bunch of them are interested. Your SNL updates. No SNL this week. No SNL next week. Whoever's hosting the weekend of Easter escapes me currently. But April 6th, you will have Kristen Wiig coming back with someone named Ray, R-A-Y-E. I know Colin Ray. I don't know this person, but apparently they're very popular right now. And April 13th, Ryan Gosling and Chris Stapleton. Can you say ratings bonanza? Netflix has canceled The Brother's Son after one season. I've talked to a couple people that have seen this and enjoyed it. It's called The Brother's Son. It's about an Asian family. S-U-N. Not like brother apostrophe S. Brothers plural, and then son like the thing in the sky.
Yeah.
They will be streaming Sex in the City starting on April 1st. In a very strange move. You think Max would be wanting to keep that for themselves. They've also announced that they are
about a lot of stuff gravitating over as if there might be some kind of an agreement.
They have also announced that they have renewed The Last Airbender for seasons 2 and 3, and those will be it.
Which is interesting.
Go ahead.
Which is interesting because I've heard a lot of people who are not positive on it just from a live action standpoint, but I'm guessing because they have source material and they're getting enough views, the response
the writers
from
have
fans
said,
don't matter.
We can tell 3 seasons and we're good. So
okay.
Let's see here. And then as of today, they have ordered season 7 for Black Mirror.
You know, I've still never seen a moment of that show. Have either of you watched it?
I thought this would be kind of right up your alley because it's very Twilight Zone-y.
Oh, no. I'm not saying it isn't. It's just for whatever reason, I have never watched a minute of it.
And they're doing a sequel episode to an episode they did last year that's very Star Trek-y. Originally, there was talk of it getting its own series. Right now, it's just a sequel episode. Okay. Prime Video has said season 4 of Upload will be its final season.
That makes me sad. That is a wonderful show.
And the Roku channel has renewed Side Hustlers for season 2. And lastly, season 4 on Stars of Power Book 2 Ghost will be its last, but they are going to be doing another series that will be an origin story for Ghost and another character. Give me the rest of season 2 of Heels. That's all I'm asking. Very angry.
Any of season 2 Heels.
I just need the last 2.5 episodes. That's all I need. I was this close. TV on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Speaking of me being at Hill Country Comic-Con the weekend after Easter, one of the big gets this year is that we're having a reunion of the voice cast from the Sonic the Hedgehog animated series, because there were 2. So Sonic Prime Season 1 available on DVD and Blu-ray next week. Season 7 of Rick and Morty heading your way next week. One Piece Season 13 Voyage 6 for a show that's got 1,400 episodes. And the UK version of Ghost Complete series will be available next week. What happened there? Oh, I got music in 2 different places. A couple of quick music headlines. We want to say lost in the world of music. Eric Carmen passed away earlier this week. You may remember him from one of my favorite songs. It's called, oh my gosh, why did I just blank out? Make Me Lose Control. I love that song. He also did Hungry Eyes for the Dirty Dancing soundtrack. So our best to his family, friends, and fans. And we do want to send a shout out to Joe Walsh. He celebrated 30 years of sobriety.
Oh, wow.
Week. So the Oscars happened. First of all, shout out to Alex for winning the Oscar pool. Only missed 4.
Better to be lucky than good. I'm sorry.
Hey, you only missed 4.
Yeah.
You want to hear
I'm really surprised by one of them. Let me put it that way. I did go back and look after we talked about it.
Shout out to Billie Eilish for being the youngest 2-time Oscar winner in history. Did you see this?
You see her age and realize, God, I feel old.
Oh, that was a long time ago for me. Did you see this crazy stat about Scorsese?
The last 2 movies?
No.
Okay, then I have another crazy stat, but go ahead.
This is now the 3rd time he has gone 0 for 10. He is currently 0 for his last 26 going back to Hugo. The other 2 0 for 10s were Gangs of New York and The Irishman.
Well, I was going to say his last 2 big movies that were nominated, he's 0 for 10 back to back.
Yeah, and being the other one being The Irishman.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this one being Killers of the Flower Moon, just to put a bow on it.
Which was crazy. I didn't watch. I was in that place last Sunday where I was like, I'll just follow online.
Okay. I actually watched, and you know what? I appreciate the faster Oscars until it came to the screeching halt in the last hour.
Well, it also started an hour earlier than it normally does too.
But what I'm saying is the first hour and a half, 2 hours, it was like, let's get everything in there. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're ahead by 45 minutes. Let's tap the brakes.
And John Cena.
And no, he wasn't totally nude. Please stop sending the picture.
Yes. But did you see the footage of when they went to the video package and they were putting the stuff on him? And that was Kimmel that was standing in front of him.
Was that they put a curtain around him like a toga. Yes. My favorite line from that, and I guess you didn't see it. Don, did you watch it at all?
I think he said yes. I think he said yes.
The line of, you used to wrestle in your underwear in front of millions of people. He goes, I didn't wrestle naked. I wrestled in jorts. And Kimmel's response was, that's worse.
Do you see Dwayne's line?
Which one?
Staying in character of, I'm not going to attack a man when he's naked.
Yeah.
And the other big headline from this past week, we have our Perry White for the Superman movie.
Yes, we do.
Great Wendell Pierce. I'm very excited. I like him a lot. Bunk from The Wire.
I want to say the word he is known for, but we're family friendly on this show.
Another Wire alum getting a big time gig, and I'm a big fan of that dude.
And forgive me if I'm misremembering. He was the one that was the dirty cop in 25 Hours, wasn't he? I know it's been a minute, but if I remember that correctly, that was an awesome performance. I'm taking a look.
Most of the roles he plays, he's either a cop or a politician. The great Wendell Pierce. Movie releases and places you get movie new releases this week. The first 2 of these, we have reviews up at www.theclubhousepodcast.com.
That's our website.
Without ever missing a beat.
The first one is called The American Society of Magical Negroes. This has Justice Smith in it and David Allen Greer, and an appearance by Nicole Byers. This is a really, really fun movie. Basically, this is a literary and entertainment trope that the the phrase of the last two words was coined by Spike Lee. And it's a secondary character in a movie or a book or whatever whose entire job it is to make the white protagonist achieve who they are and feel better about themselves. And what Justice Smith's character finds out is that it's a real thing. It's a real group of people that do this, and how his power, the power that he has to do this, he is assigned to someone, and the complications that come from that. I thought this movie was great. I very much enjoyed it. That comes out this weekend. Also this week, Arthur the King. And as I said in my review, if you're a Gen Xer and you take the middle word of that and don't hear John Cleese in your head, I question you. You silly Arthur King. Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail. Watch it. This is the true story. Mark Wahlberg plays a guy that's an adventure racer, which just watching that part of it, I'm 50. But he has one last shot at glory, so he assembles a team. Simu Liu is in this, who we found out apparently during the Oscars was dancing on an injury. Alex.
I apologize. It wasn't Wendell Pierce. It was another fantastic actor who fits into the same roles, Isaiah Whitlock Jr.
Ooh, I like him a lot too. I do like him a lot.
Yeah. But it was basically, if you took Wendell Pierce's character from The Wire, made him dirty, it's who Isaiah Whitlock was playing.
Okay, fair enough. But Arthur the King is a dog who kind of adopts the team as the race goes on. Don and I have both reviewed that, and those reviews are currently available as well. Also available this week, gotta look this up. A movie called Snack Shack. Nebraska City, 1991. Two best friends get the chance to run the swimming pool snack shack that later comes to be the perfect scenario for transgression, fun, personal discovery, and romance.
It sounds like a flashback to a teen rom-com.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Let's see. We also have Knox Goes Away coming out this week. When a contract killer has a rapidly evolving form of dementia, he is offered an opportunity to redeem himself by saving the life of his estranged adult son. Now, you may say to yourself, Rob, this is probably just, one of those films. Let me tell you who's in this. Your announcer of Best Picture is in this. Al Pacino, Marcia Gay Harden, Michael Keaton, and James Marsden are all in this.
Okay, I have to take issue because this movie in a form was already made like 3 years ago, and it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And it was called Memory with Liam Neeson, where it wasn't dementia per se, but it was more of an Alzheimer's with dementia. I don't think they can do anything that would make that concept work for me.
I mean, this is one, like, if I saw it, like, if it was on, like, if it was streaming and I was bored, I would check it out.
I'll co-sign that, but that's how I got to Memory, and boy, do I want those 2 hours back.
We also have The Neon Highway. Beau Bridges is in this.
Oh, Beau Bridges.
Jane, who is a singer, meets up Watch legend Claude Allen. Together they go to Nashville to pitch a song, but the industry rejects them. Wayne figures out how to release the song publicly, not for himself, but for Claude. This seems like it was done in a different thing last year. Like something similar was done last year. It's Beau Bridges, and it's him doing music, so I'm here for it. Name
somebody with a last name Bridges that you don't want to watch in a movie.
Yeah. Movies on DVD and Blu-ray. There's only one this week. Criterion Collection releases The Runner. Very, very thin release week this week. All right.
I'm trying to remember The Runner.
Didn't see that was The Reader. That's one of my favorite Oscar moments when Hugh Jackman was hosting and he was doing the opening montage. He was going through all the pictures and he goes, The Reader. I didn't see The Reader. All right, boys. Let's change gears. The second half of our show is the Cheat Podcast, where we talk about all things professional wrestling. We've been gone for 2 weeks, and we've got a lot to talk about.
Do we?
You'd be surprised. Alex, I want to throw this first headline to you because you posted this. Somebody that we met at the world premiere of the Iron Claw needs your help. And Alex, I'm going to throw to you.
So, unfortunately, house fires are a thing that happen, and it can happen to anybody. I would go as far as to say friend of the show, taking pictures, going out of his way to make us feel like we were part of the world premiere. Silas Mason, the Thrillbilly, if you will.
Nice guy.
Great human being. Can't put down tequila. I have to say it. Can't put down tequila like I can. But he and his girlfriend suffered a house fire. They were able to get themselves and the animals to safety, but just about everything else is gone. There is a GoFundMe page. If you do look it up, for those that don't know, he is currently working in the Southern Six with Kerry Morton, who is the one that went out of his way to put up the GoFundMe and put a very nice write-up of why Silas is the kind of person that, despite you seeing him on TV, deserves any help he can get. And I can't help but co-sign. I will say there has been a decent donation made by the show to this GoFundMe. So we don't just say, please go help. We do it ourselves where we can and ask you to join us.
And do you have the link up on
if I knew you were going to throw it to me, I would have already had it ready. I was not expecting that to be the open, so I apologize.
Well, no, just go ahead and throw it on our social media and people can get it from there. Give us about 5-10 minutes on that. We do want to send our best out to Neil Dashwood and Riddick Moss got married last weekend in Hawaii. So shout out to those kids. TNA Sacrifice.
Congratulations to them. Congratulations to them.
TNA Sacrifice was a thing last Friday night. Both of your tag team belts changed hands, as the System are your new tag champs, so they now have the World Tag Team titles and the heavyweight title. And Spitfire, which is Jody Threat and Danny Luna, beat MK Ultra to win the Knockouts tag titles. So there's that. And they announced that Under Siege will be May 3rd at the Washington Avenue Armory in Albany. And then we got Rebellion coming up next month. And news from WoW. Tag team belt now moved twice in the last 3 weeks, as the Mother Truckers, let me enunciate that, are your new WoW women's, well, that's all women, but your WoW tag team champions. Lot of pretty much all of what we know of your 2024 WWE Hall of Fame class has been announced since the last time we were on the air. Let's run them. First one announced, and I'm going to go ahead and safely say, I think we all agree, Paul Heyman going into the WWE Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania Night 1. Those of you going to SmackDown, be prepared for a long night. That's all I'm saying. And it's East Coast time, so it was almost midnight Central when we were there. Also, Bull Nakano was announced, which I'm fully on board with, so I'm glad for that. Muhammad Ali, I'm surprised he wasn't already in.
Oh, really?
I was surprised by this too.
Part of the very first WrestleMania, he was a referee. Claude Thunderbolt Patterson. I was very happy to see this name. This was a guy who did almost all of his work was in the NWA, but he was a guy that stood up for everybody. A lot of equality for wrestlers, and Xavier Woods put up a very nice tweet about him as well. And the U.S. Express, Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham. That makes Rotunda, no, it takes Windham now has two, right? Because he got one with the Horseman.
Yeah, he did. I'm surprised Rotunda wasn't in already.
I don't know that Wyndham went in with the Horseman. I think we need to. I think we need to fact check that one.
I thought that was he was with because you had to have four. You had Rick, you had Tully, you had Arn, and you had Wyndham.
Because they didn't have Lex and they didn't have Ole. When the Horseman went in, it was Wyndham.
Yeah, and I think that's what the cover of the set WWE did was Wyndham on the cover.
But I'm surprised Rotundo's not in.
That was surprising for me as well. I love what I always. I mean, granted, he was.
I feel like he. I feel like there was multiple times they thought about putting him in and just didn't, or he didn't want to for whatever reason.
And that will air on Peacock right after SmackDown goes off the air. WrestleMania Friday.
Have you seen the allegedly leaked 2 more names to go in?
I have not.
So with all of those that we have, and I'm going to say something that is probably going to be an unpopular opinion on the second name.
Okay.
But the other one that has allegedly been leaked / rumored is Leah Maivia. For those of you that have watched Young Rock, that is the grandmother of one Dewey Johnson, who did run Hawaii wrestling after or with and then after High Chief Peter Maivia.
I love the lady that played her on that show. She was so
absolutely good. Oh, that whole family. Let's be honest.
Everybody on that show was a big fan.
The last one I kind of take issue with, just with it being so fresh, we'll say.
Okay.
The last name rumored is Bray. Bray Wyatt.
I'd be okay with it.
Allow me to clarify why. I don't want to say I take issue with him going in. There's no part of me that says that. I take issue with him going in now, because I feel like that puts a bit of a cloud over what should be Heyman's party with everybody else involved.
And his dad and his uncle.
I would.
Is that the other part of it? Okay.
I was trying to think of how to phrase the fact that his name is literally because of the U.S. Express. His real name was Wyndham Rotunda, which was the U.S. Express. And I feel like that might be a bit much on the family. Plus, I think I would rather hear Mike Rotunda talk about his son as having been both somebody who was experienced in the ring and being a producer while his son was doing all that he was. I feel like that should be more of a its own show rather than.
You would wait a year?
You know what? Depending on how it goes, I might wait too.
I would be okay with it.
Dude, him and the son going in on the same day, that'd be cool.
But what I'm saying is I don't want him to have to go through the highs and the lows of I get to go into the hall, but so does Wyndham. And you know what I mean? I feel like I appreciate
I would say this.
But
ask Mike Rotunda himself and say, how do you feel?
100%. Yeah. If you tell me that he's the one that signed off on it, I will take less issue with it.
Yeah.
But personally, I don't. But then again, he's also the kind of guy that's been a company man first at all times. I don't know that he would give you an honest answer as much as if that's what you want to do, let's do.
No, put it this way. If Triple H was to come up to him and say, do you want your son this year or next year? You tell me.
You know what? I could co-sign that idea, but what I'm saying is I don't know that he would ever, because to him it's more along the lines of let's be honest, wrestlers don't exactly have the longest lifespan. I think he might have some concerns about waiting a year as well, and I don't know if that's going to be too taxing. And I'm not saying anything based on knowing health or whatnot, but I feel like it's a bit much on him. Because I feel like the emotions are going to go so far in opposite directions.
And to piggyback off what Don said, I think that I would like to think that that's who H is. Like if it wasn't signed off, wouldn't do it. Like that's just who I believe.
That's also fair. But we also haven't heard the name, so there is a possibility he had that conversation and it didn't go that way.
Very possible.
But yeah, no, it's very deserving, but I just don't know.
Your next Saudi show is being eyed for May. I'm wondering if because they're doing your next NXT pay-per-view on the Sunday before Memorial Day, I wonder if they're going to do the Saudi show that Saturday, NXT Sunday. I'm wondering.
That makes sense.
Because Raw's going to be in the same place where NXT was on Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
So we did have a discussion a couple of weeks ago about with this whole move to Netflix, how the pleas are laid out. Right now, what we know is that NBC Universal plea rights run through 2026.
Okay.
So nothing's going to happen before then. And then we also found out a couple of days ago, when you think summertime, you think SummerSlam. And when you think SummerSlam, you think Cleveland, Ohio. August 3rd, Cleveland Browns Stadium. Here we go.
There's exactly one reason why, and we all know what it is.
Because Cleveland.
No, it's because we have some really talented people who are from Cleveland that we might want to get a bigger pop for doing something, like The Miz, like Johnny Gargano, who, let's be honest, are you going to be surprised if DIY wins the tag titles in Cleveland in front of the Gargano family?
Isn't that where Logan Paul's originally from, too? That's why he announced it on his show?
That was the other part, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I was just, I couldn't remember.
You were jumping ahead, yes.
I just couldn't remember that's why he announced it on his podcast, or if it was part of this, we're going to pay you, but then you're going to pay us to put Prime in the middle of the ring. So you got that.
The Paul family is originally from Ohio.
My question on SmackDown, and you were there.
Yes.
Friday night. Lashley was billed from here?
Yes, he was. Which really made me go.
Now, I know
I looked at Sean and I went, they're so desperate. What?
He has family at one point that lived here because Charlotte at one point knew his grandmother.
Yeah, I don't know if I always heard him as being from Colorado Springs, and I don't know if they were just piggybacking on the U.S. trials or the Army wrestling team there, but they billed him as being from Dallas, and I was like, they're so desperate for him to be cheered right now. And then it was very odd.
I don't know if you saw this sign that was on the aisle from where you were, because you were there. You were there, brother. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. If you want a location, go to the opening segment and watch the Prime bottle fly because it landed at my feet.
Did you see?
And I almost got taken out by a drunk.
Did you see the horns down sign?
No, I did not.
So, for those of you that don't live in Texas or don't know, the Texas Longhorns, this is their thing. And when people that don't like them play them, they do this, horns down. Somebody had horns down on a sign, and it was the Brahma Bull upside down.
Nice.
And I went, well played. Well played. Because I wouldn't have thought of that. So well played.
I will say the Rock's new intro is pretty awesome live.
That was cool.
I didn't get a chance to see it on TV yet.
Oh, okay. It looked
but
pretty
I can tell
dope.
you right now, So I'm going to give you a weird parallel. Okay. Now, Don, I don't mean to leave you out of this. Have you been to Disney World?
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay. So when you would have a big show or something, you could literally feel the electricity as if somebody was running a Tesla coil near you, right?
Okay.
Like all the hair stands up, you get the goosebumps and everything. I would swear that they electrified the arena, no pun intended, when the lightning started on the Rock's entrance because you could feel it. And I don't know if it was just how loud they had it cranked up, but it was really cool.
And so now we have the stipulation that if Cody loses, he never gets a shot at the title again.
Well, they didn't make that official. I think they were just implying that as the head of the board and the new What?
I thought Rock said it.
That's why he said it, but then immediately, if you watch back, he says it and then immediately goes, as the head of the board or on the board of directors, I am your boss. I can do that. So I don't know that it was official. Shout out Adam Pearce. Or if he was just saying that and realizing, oh, I have to back this down just a little bit because otherwise it becomes a thing. So we will see.
You know, the anti-AEW people lost their minds.
Well, there's enough anti-AEW news to come. But apparently that was not the ending there was supposed to be. They just ran so long that they had to pivot. But I can tell you right now, one of the most interesting aspects was after Rock and Roman leave the ring and you see the cameras cut, Cody immediately runs over to the camera guy and goes, "Did we get the slap on in time?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then Cody's.
So you didn't watch the whole thing? The feed cuts immediately after the slap.
Okay, no, that's okay. What I just said about 3 minutes ago was I have not had a chance to watch it on TV.
I'm verifying.
Yeah.
Because
no, I have not gotten to watch the
Yeah.
feed of what happened. I only saw what I was in the arena for.
The feed cuts right after the slap.
Okay. So Cody was worried they didn't get there because it was running so late, because it was supposed to be the slap. Then it was supposed to be a brawl to going off air, but they cut the brawl because it was running so long.
Yeah, so we never even saw them leave the ring.
Okay.
That's why I called you and was like, tell me what happened, because
after the went off, after the slap, what happened then?
There was just a back down from the line to leaving the ring.
That's it. Okay.
Interesting attire choice. Did you notice that it was Houston Astros colors on the sleeveless Versace?
Oh, was it?
I don't know if anybody else caught that, but that's what immediately popped in. But if you do see the nod, I'm the one that got him to do it, because I was throwing up the 305 too. So when he's looking over at announcing and then nods, that's me behind them.
Oh, okay.
Because you know me, I love popping people in the ring when they're on camera.
Couple things from Raw. Becky will be taking on Nia Monday night in a last woman standing match.
Would you like to guess what the dark match was?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was like, would you like to guess what the dark match after SmackDown was? Because
go ahead.
Practice runs.
Fair enough.
Oh no, it was Jay and Gunther for the IC title, and then that match.
After Raw?
After SmackDown.
Okay. That's weird.
You send the people home happy, seeing people that they want to see if Raw's not close by. So the dark matches for Raw have been SmackDown talent.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, and it's a really smart, subtle thing they've been doing.
And Sami Zayn wins the gauntlet match. So he will face Gunther for the IC title. I was a little worried that they were going to make Ricochet go wire to wire.
Yeah.
Because we've done that so many times.
But Ricochet also has nothing going for him right now.
NXT.
I still don't think that that's going to be the match. I think we're going to get a triple threat where Gable gets involved, but we could talk about that at a later date.
Well, you've also got the 6-pack ladder challenge for tag titles too.
I still want the booking I told you.
Do you think Gunther loses the title at Mania?
Yes.
Yes. But I think that's part of the reason why it becomes a triple threat.
Yeah. Because then you ascend him to the world title picture.
Mm-hmm. So he never lost the title, but the title moves.
NXT Roadblock was this past week. The week before that, we did have a Regal sighting.
Yes, we did.
Good to see him come out.
But him face off with Charlie was awesome.
But did you catch the Kofi moment in this week's NXT?
I did not.
When who was the first person to approach them in the locker room segment before Axiom and Frazier came out?
I really don't remember.
He's whoever's going for the title this week, but he goes, "You were born and raised in Atlanta." It's like the booking for Roadblock went about like I thought it would. You will now have Ilya Dragunov versus Tony D at Stand and Deliver, which I am here for. I have said it before and I'll say it again. I was worried when this bit first started, but I have really become a fan of Tony D'Angelo.
Same. And to clarify, you are batting 1,000 on calling the Stand and Deliver matches. So good on you for that one, because you have more than just the title picture called. You have multiple matches that you have said on air, off air, anywhere that we have talked to people. So you are on fire when it comes to NXT.
And it's good booking.
Yeah.
I think that I do believe Tony D wins that belt at Stand and Deliver.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Trick wins, and then we just move Mello
to the Pride.
Yep. And we do the thing. And I thought that the thing about NXT this past week, and it's the same problem we're going to have here in a minute when we talk about Dynamite. Promos are good. Promos should not dominate your show. Roxanne Perez's promo went way too long on that show.
And how much does it hurt your heart to say that, though?
I still am a fan, but I
Right.
didn't clock that promo, but I can guarantee you it hit double-digit minutes. I guarantee it.
Do you think that might have been a trial run for her with main roster? They're like, okay, we're going to leave you out there to sink or swim. Let's see how you handle it.
Anybody that talks that long, I don't care what.
No. But I'm saying that this time, do you think that's what the case was?
Maybe it wasn't a bad promo. There just wasn't a lot for her to work with in it.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally had to go back 2 years to tell the story to get to the promo. Like, it was just like, come on, bro. So, and then, Trick Williams, very interesting ending. I guess we're going to break Lash Legend away from Metaphor.
Well, I have a question in that one that kind of falls into something we have discussed multiple times. Is that an on-screen thing or is that a thing?
I do not know.
Okay. Because we have talked multiple times about not liking romance angles in certain aspects. I especially hate the Thea Hale one, and not just because of jealousy. But it's just always, it doesn't resonate with me, and I'm sure there might be an audience that it does, but
speaking of Thea Hale, we did have the official breakaway from JC Jane with the old Thea Hale is back B-word and then running around the ring like she used to. Because she ended up tagging Fallon Henley because her tag partner, Kalani Jordan, was taken out in the back.
Which is the best thing that's happened with Kalani Jordan's booking lately.
That kid's got potential.
They all do, but I'm just not seeing it. This is the new one, and you know what? Like I ate crow a couple of weeks ago when I said I wasn't seeing it with Tiffy. I 100% retract that, and having seen her in person, even with the slip, you could see her being light years ahead of most people athletically.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm still not fully sold, but she's also not been around long enough for, in my opinion, for me to be fully sold.
That's fair.
I've got no issues, but I want to give it time. AEW, Mike Santana no longer with AEW.
That's sad. I
was a big fan of Proud and Powerful. Because
well,
I can't call it.
Did you see the other piece to that with somebody giving their mea culpa on some level?
Go ahead.
Ortiz basically saying that he did not keep himself up to the level that he should have, and was one of the potential issues between him and Santana that led to the rough edges between them.
I enjoyed their work very much.
I always will. I still maintain greatest tag team performance I have seen in person was them two.
Revolution was a thing. I did get it. Alex came over to watch it. Don was on his way home from being overseas. Interesting to see Roddy win clean.
Yeah.
On the show.
I appreciate the clean win because titles should matter that way.
We had the return of Kyle O'Reilly, and it's interesting. I'm interested to see where this goes with him. And
you think they'll bring Fish back?
I think he's currently under contract somewhere else, so there would have to be multiple moving parts for that.
Okay.
And as Alex predicted, a great match with Takeshita and Ospreay. Will Ospreay cutting promos like there's no tomorrow right now, and I'm here for it.
And also an interesting HSO that allegedly WWE didn't even offer half the money AEW did.
I did read where he had said somewhere like it's just it wasn't for me was the quote I saw.
Yeah.
Osprey.
Mm-hmm.
So the WWE gave him the offer, but it was half of what AEW was offering. Huh?
Allegedly less than half.
Oh God.
Well, I think that there's another level to that, and I've been marinating on this one since I saw it. God, we're running late, so I'll be quick. I don't. What makes Osprey so unique and so different, I think, is a lot of stuff that WWE doesn't want to do because of injury risk. So I think that there was a business decision on that one going, yeah, he's amazing, but is he worth the risk? I have no baseline on that. I just think it's a different style.
I also think that the bruv chant is a little weird for me.
That's like, been a thing for a while, though.
It's like me going to London and people are just chanting, dude, dude, dude. It's the same thing.
But the bruv, let me put it this way. It's been a chant for so long. He has had bruv shirts on his shop on ProWrestlingTees.com, where we also have a store, for over a year.
That's so weird. Yeah. And a great match to close Revolution. I thought the tag match was great. I'm glad that that Sting and Darby did retain. And now we're going to have a tournament like, again, got that one. So, but I thought it was a good show.
I wish they were doing a World Tag League style.
They did announce your next pay-per-view for April 21st is Dynasty. So my question now becomes, now that they're doing more of these, are they going to be shorter? Because it was 11 o'clock Central when that thing ended.
Yeah.
And Alex had to drive home because he was here.
Yep. Well, we're going to see if they're going to get shorter, but I can tell you right now, Dynasty already has my money, and they've only announced one match. Really.
And it's the aforementioned Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson.
So the two of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Yes, please.
Riho returned on Rampage last week. Looking at Collision, Okada's not getting heel heat.
How do you though? Like
I know when they did this, I was like, this is not gonna work.
I appreciate they're trying and Okada is selling it, but the dude is just money. He is the internet version of what we were talking about with Dwayne. He can't really be a heel. It's just not gonna happen.
And Pac has officially returned.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that to get him working again. Dynamite, new theme, new set, new logo, new look. I dig it.
I actually don't like the new set. It feels very bland to me.
I like how you got the logo and everything around the opening, so you can do different stuff with that. I like it. I'm here for it.
It looks like a cheaper show to me. I don't like saying that. It looks cheaper to me. The LEDs around there, fine. I get it. You're highlighting the tunnel. But when the tunnels don't look like they go anywhere, they're just like, okay, this is where they come out of the curtain. This is where they come out of the curtain. It doesn't work.
Now, I will give you that. They should probably at least shade the back of the curtain so you don't see the stuff behind it. But yeah, I'm still good with it. Also, they changed the color. The ropes are all now white, too. They didn't used to be.
I don't know if that's going to stay a thing.
We'll see. It was big business last night. And I appreciate that they just did the Mercedes Moné thing right out of the gate. We all know what this is. A Mercedes pulls up. Let's go. Let's get this done.
But I take one issue with it. Even for those that might have doubted, maybe don't cut to the people in the crowd having handed out signs that have her name on it. Just a hunch.
Yeah, that didn't bother me.
I find it stupid and annoying. Almost as stupid as her alleged contract.
What do you mean?
Oh, have you not seen this?
No.
Rob, have you?
I have not.
In order to get her to forego a 4 horsewomen contract, now mind you, this is all allegedly in secondhand. She is allegedly getting $10 million a year.
They're paying it. You know,
when you're a billionaire, you can throw that around, I guess. But at the same time, it's just, and also for a guy who has a wonderful batting average with me, that was not a great theme from Ruckus. The CEO chant, it just feels like, okay, maybe we're teasing for CEO versus DMD later on, but ugh.
I don't know that I like the CEO thing. I don't know that I like the interlocking M logo, because if she's Mercedes and you're trying to make it look like a Maserati logo, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, that's the M she's been using since she left the company, so I'll give it that.
But I mean,
and then taking the coat off and making me go, is she pregnant? That was not a good wardrobe.
It was definitely a long promo.
Oh God, yes.
But you also had, how do I say this? The Young Bucks match went longer than anybody else's by a country mile.
Well, but name somebody that was on that card, had a match, and typically works a longer term. Most of them are blown out. I mean, Wardlow and Joe, you're capping at 8 to 10 minutes because they're both gassed by then. Same with Willow and Riho. There's a language barrier that does not allow that to go further. What else you got that's going to go longer?
I thought that the segment with the Guns and the Acclaimed was weird. I mean, I
thought it was okay. I was good with it.
I didn't dig the execution of it. For a special event show, there just wasn't much to it for me.
Well, I know that if you're basing things off of internet views, which kind of tends to be the way, this did not go well because Mercedes Moné's debut got a third of the views of Copeland's debut, which got about half the views of Punk's debut. So
I just am judging it by my enjoyment level.
Oh, no. And I get that, but I can tell you right now that parallels people actually watching it online. It wasn't great on any level. I love watching Jay White wrestle. Darby Allin is fun to watch as a crash test dummy. That's the entire list.
I'm going to be interested. Like, he's really going to have to heal up. If he's going to climb Everest in a couple of weeks with that level of injury, I wouldn't he have to be cleared by a doctor?
He's already been cleared. The gist is that it's not legitimate. Sorry, what was that?
Before or after Evolution? Because if I'm and I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. If he came to me and said, "Hey, I want to go climb Everest," I'm like, "You're going to need to heal up a little bit there, big homie."
Allegedly, he was cleared after Revolution, checking the stitches and everything, because by the time he gets there, that will have been gone, allegedly. So he is cleared and passed.
On Allen, how much mountain climbing has he done before?
Respectfully, I don't know how much mountain climbing is involved in getting to the top of Everest anymore. I don't know.
Because if he hasn't done it before, like most people still, regardless, yeah, you have the Sherpas pay and all that, but most people that try Everest, they're just not people that work out at the local gym all the time and just all of a sudden, hey, we're going to climb. They have to be experienced climbers for years,
I believe he did talk about having experience with mountain climbing, doing Rainier multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from that section of the country.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's totally different. Yeah.
I tried to watch Ring of Honor before the show, but the stream never started. But I do know it's only 49 minutes this week. But last week, Red Velvet advanced to the semifinals of the Women's Television Championship tournament. And it looks like from the graphic I saw, we've got 2 more of those on this episode. And then right in the middle was Orange Cassidy, which, again, they got to stop crossing the streams. So,
got to find something to get people to watch.
I watch.
People who don't have a show and have to watch.
I pay for it. So
also fair.
And that's the only way you can watch it right now. So, anything else you boys want to talk about before we do the plugs?
Well, I think the other part is we're talking about they wanted to use Darby Allin as the first wrestler to climb Everest and then found out that that's not true.
Who was it?
JBL.
Remember, JBL was on that kick where he was going to climb a mountain on every continent.
Yeah, but I know he did Africa and stuff like that. But did he do Everest?
Allow me to put it in this context, Don. There is a WWE flag on the peak of Everest from one JBL.
Okay, so he actually did do it. Okay.
Yes.
It's that thing like JBL, he trained and trained and trained and trained before,
anything.
So that's to him.
Yeah.
And he did it for charity too, didn't he?
I believe
he did.
so, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
All right. Make sure you visit our website, the aforementioned www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Everything you need to know and some stuff you don't. Follow us on your social medias. Twitter and TikTok are Clubhouse Show. Everything else is The Clubhouse Podcast. All 3 words in that order, or you will wind up somewhere else. You can follow me on your social medias if you would like. Everything is Yes, That Rob Urban. That is spelled ERVIN.
I'm Vexploit on all social media, and if you want some cheat sheets for the shows, please go here. One of those happens to be at the bottom for ProWrestlingTees.com, searching for the Cheap Popcast to get a bunch of different shirts that you could, with a bunch of different designs and a bunch of different color options. If you have anything you'd like to contribute or suggestions you can make, you can reach out to me at alex@clubhousepodcast.com.
You are to get those awesome shirts that even make me look good. ProWrestlingTees.com/the Cheap Podcast. And at Twitter, I'm at Igbunu, IGBNUUU. And if you want this master your place, email me, don@theclubhousepodcast.com.
You never know where we might show up. Maybe there's a film festival coming up. You don't know. Maybe you do. Email Don for information on that. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. So I'm going to go pound sand. I am rob@theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Marshall is on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. Our normal show every Thursday night is at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So until next time, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. This is closed. And an article there about Brittany Palmer and all of the things she's done in her career. It's pretty good.